First, we begin with Monday's mass shooting that killed at least 7 people in a Chicago suburb.
The 21-year-old man accused of opening fire on the 4th of July parade in Highland Park appeared before a judge for the first time today. Prosecutors say the suspect confessed to the shooting during an interview with police. He's being held without bail as he faces 7 first-degree murder charges. Officials also note he was able to buy high-powered rifles legally 3 years after he was declared a clear and present danger by police. While visiting Highland Park Tuesday, Vice President Kamala Harris called on Congress to ban assault weapons in the U.S.
And CBS News correspondent Kris Van Cleave is in Highland Park, where investigators are talking about the suspect's troubled history today. Hi, Kris. So what happened in court today? Did we learn anything more about the suspect or how this crime unfolded?
Yeah, we actually have moved to outside the courthouse. He appeared by video in this hearing from jail. What we are learning is that this was an attack that had been in the planning stages for weeks. This was a well thought out attack. According to prosecutors, they allege that Robert Crimo, once on the roof, looked down the sight of his rifle, aimed and fired at people across the street. There was a 30-round magazine, prosecutors say, inside that rifle. He emptied that magazine, prosecutors allege, reloaded, emptied that magazine, and reloaded a third time, continued to fire before fleeing. They believe that his plan was not to drop that gun, not to leave it behind, but that it fell out of his backpack. When it was recovered, there was no magazine attached to the gun, but there was still 1 bullet in the chamber. Now, we also learned that during those 8 hours that police were searching for him, we had heard that he had driven to Wisconsin. Police now say he made it all the way to Madison, the state capital of Wisconsin, and that when he saw a gathering there, he contemplated a second attack. He had a rifle in the vehicle with him, police allege, and that rifle was recovered with about 60 rounds of ammunition. The suspect indicated that he hadn't had enough time to think through that second attack and decided not to do it, returned to Illinois, and that's when he was spotted by a North Chicago police officer, pulled over, and arrested. He will have a public defender, be back in court in July. He's being held without bond. But we've learned a lot more about the moments leading up to this shooting and the fact that at least he appears to have allegedly contemplated a second mass shooting style attack.
Absolutely chilling to hear those allegations, Kris. And we've also learned that the suspect had previous encounters with police. Tell us about that. And do we know more about how he was allowed to actually obtain firearms?
Sure. So in 2019, Highland Park police responded to 2 calls for service involving the suspect. The first in the spring was following up on a reported attempt at suicide. The family denies that there was ever a suicide attempt, but nonetheless, police say they responded in the spring to that. Then in September, they were called to the house by a family member who reported that the suspect had threatened to kill everyone in the house, that he had knives. In fact, they confiscated knives, dagger, and a sword. But no charges were pursued by the family. In fact, the Illinois State Police in a release say that the family indicated that those weapons were being kept in another location and that the suspect at the time denied any intention to hurt him or others. And while the Highland Park police notified the Illinois State Police of this incident, because he had not applied for the license to have a gun, and did not already have one, that essentially appears to have not gone anywhere. There was no attempt to seek a medical order that would have shown up in a background check, so that when he did apply for a weapon months later, this didn't show up. He passed 4 background checks in the process of buying the 5 firearms that he legally obtained. His father, we understand, signed essentially a waiver or a permission slip, an authorization form, allowing him to buy the first firearm. So it's not that the family was unaware that he had owned a firearm. Their lawyer told us it's unclear if the parents understood that he had bought high-powered assault-style weapons, something similar to an AR-15. In fact, the lawyer for the parents told us in an interview that while the family realized that they had what he described as an eccentric son, they did not see these red flags or did not see indications that something violent was a possibility.
That's interesting, considering that interaction with police earlier. I'm sure there'll be a lot more questions about that in the days ahead. Kris Van Cleave in Highland Park, thank you so much.